The Oregon State Beavers have just gone through one of the most unprecedented off seasons in college football history. In fact, they're still in it right now. There's lots of roster turnover. They have a brand new head coach, and with the collapse of the Pac 12, they are left without a conference home. Yet the Oregon State Beavers are looking to prove that even with all of that, they will still be a competitive team in 2024. Will that be the case this upcoming season for the Beavers? You're about to find out what I think here in this video. What's up, Tailgaters? Here in the booth with Tailgate Nate. Today, I want to welcome you to my channel and welcome you to Prediction Season. It's where I predict all 134 FBS level college football teams, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So why don't you go ahead, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded. And I want to thank you so much for watching this video. It helps support my channel in more ways than you can even imagine. And if you'd like to continue to support my channel, obviously watch my other videos, but you can also like this one, comment down below, share, subscribe. Literally anything you do to interact with the channel helps support what I do here on YouTube, and I am very appreciative for all of it. We're going to dive on into talking about the Oregon State Beavers in 2024, but before we do that, you got to know how we're going to do it. We're going to take a deep dive into this team's offense, into the defense, and at the end of the video, we will go through the Beaver football schedule and give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. A couple more things before we do that, because right over here are going to be the stats the team put up either offensively or defensively last season. And then for your viewing pleasure, right below the team's logo, I have put the team's coaching staff. New head coach Trent Bray is taking over this program. He was with the program for the past couple of seasons, also formerly over with the Nebraska Cornhuskers as well. But now he takes over as the head man for the Oregon State Beavers. And let's take a look at what this offense looks like. So obviously with Trent Bray taking over because Jonathan Smith left to go take the Michigan State job, there's going to be a little bit different style of offense played. Ryan Gunderson is going to be the offensive coordinator this year. And you take a look at what the offense was last season. They had a pretty solid quarterback. They had a really good run game. There were some really good wide receivers on this team as well. The offensive line was one of the best in college football. They only allowed 19 sacks last year, including only allowing their starter to get sacked 11 times last year. That was DJ Uyunglele. He is transferred over to Florida State, had 2,638 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on 57% completion percentage last season. Again, those numbers are not going to jump out at you right away, but I think started to flip the narrative that was very, very negative after he left Clemson, and he will go try to provide some good use for an ACC contender in Florida State. You also do lose Aiden Childs, who has followed his head coach Jonathan Smith over to Michigan State. He had just over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks last season. Okay, so who comes back in this quarterback room? Well, Ben Goldbranson. He's been with this program for a long time, and he very well could be the guy to be the starter in 2024. 186 yards, a touchdown, and an interception for the Oregon State Beavers last season. You go back to the year before that, though, in 2022, 1,455 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions on around 62% completion percentage. Ben Goldbranson is capable. Now, there are some guys coming in through the transfer portal that, who knows, maybe could see a starting role. Gabari Johnson comes over from Missouri, and Giovanni McCoy led the Idaho Vandals to being one of the best FCS teams in the country last season. 2,919 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 interceptions back in 2022. He had 68% completion percentage with 2,700 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 picks. So whether it's Goldbranson, McCoy, or possibly Johnson, I'm leaning more towards Goldbranson just because of his experience in the program, or McCoy because of what he did with the Idaho Vandals over the past couple of seasons. No matter who starts for this team, I think you're going to end up getting pretty solid quarterback play out of this group. But they do lose a lot in the skill position room because you lose your top 2, technically your top 3 leading rushers, because DJU was your 3rd leading rusher last year, but your top 2 leading rushers are gone. Deshaun Fenwick is off to the NFL. He had 500 yards last year, but that is not the big name here. That is Damian Martinez, 1,185 yards and 9 touchdowns a year ago. Yeah, he's transferred over to play for Mario Cristobal's group in Miami, where he will be very, very good. And Isaiah Noel leaves through the transfer portal as well. He had 25 carries in the running back room last year, was actually the 3rd leading rusher among running backs last season. So you lose your top 3 backfield rushers. So who is in this room? Well, Jack Reichel, I hopefully am saying that last name right. He is going to be coming back. Reichel, however you say that last name. And you get some pieces over from the portal. Jam Griffin is over from Ole Miss, and Anthony Hankerson over from Colorado, will they be as good as Fenwick and Martinez? I'll go out a limb and say probably not, but they are still two very good running backs that will be in this room for the Oregon State Beavers. This is a wide receiver room that got decimated. Anthony Gold has gone to the NFL, 718 yards, 2 touchdowns for him last season. You do lose Silas Bolden, who was your leading wide receiver last year through the transfer portal. He's off to go play in Texas for Steve Sarkisian's group, 746 yards, 5 touchdowns for him last year. And Josiah Irish and Rewa Munyagi, again, hopefully I'm saying that name right, are both gone due to graduation. Why not? Let's take a look at the tight end room as well. Riley Sharp, he has gone to the NFL, had 113 yards, 2 touchdowns last year. And Jack Veling, again, hopefully I'm saying that last name right. Velling, my apologies. It should be a second L, not an I. Let me fix that. Okay, there you go. That is fixed. Jack Velling is gone through the transfer portal. He had 438 yards and led the team with 8 touchdowns last season. So the pass catching room will look like this. Jimmy Valzen, Jeremiah Noga, David Wells, Jalen Holmes, and Trent Walker all come back in the wide receiver room, while Darius Clemens comes in through the transfer portal. Clemson comes over by way of the Michigan Wolverines. He just won a national title last year. Didn't see much playing time, though. Should in an Oregon State uniform, while Jermaine Terry, Bryce Caulfield, and Cooper Jensen all come back to the tight end room. On the offensive line, you lose a ton of guys, including Talise Fuaga to the NFL. Graduating was Jake Levengood, Hanelli Bloomfield, and Marco Brewer, while Tanner Miller is gone through the portal. So Jacob Strand, Tyler Morano, Joshua Gray, Nathan Alu, and Grant Stark all come back, while Van Wells and Gerard Christian Lichtenhan are both transfers coming over from Colorado. So let's take a look at what this offense has here in 2024. Again, it loses a ton from last season. DJU, Fenwick, Martinez, Gold, Bolden, Irish, Sharp, Velling, and a ton of offensive linemen that played really, really good minutes for Oregon State last year. I think it's inevitable that this offense ends up taking a step back. While the quarterback play is going to be solid, I don't know if it will be quite as good as what DJU will bring them, although I do think it will be close. Trying to fill the shoes of Fenwick and Martinez and Gold and Bolden and Velling are going to be really, really difficult, but there still are some solid pieces here in order to be a competitive football team in 2024. Again, I see the offense taking a step back, but there are a lot of pieces coming in here, especially some of that through the portal, like Griffin, Hankerson, Clemens. Those are all guys that I think are going to provide some really solid football minutes for the Beavers in 2024. When you take a look at this defense, though, it was a defense that, well, was kind of the staple of this team. Now, while it wasn't that great on third down, it was really good on the defensive front, and the secondary had its good moments as well. It, too, loses a ton of talent from last season, much like the offensive side of the football for the Oregon State Beavers. You take a look at the defensive line, and John McCartan is going to be gone to the NFL. McCartan was more of an edge rusher type player. Again, you can put him in that linebacker position if you wanted. I put edge rushers as defensive linemen, but technically among defensive linemen was the leading tackler. 47 tackles, had 5 sacks last season. That, I believe, was second on the team. Yes, it was. Had 2 pass defended and an interception as well. You do lose Sione Lolohea through the transfer portal. He was your second leading tackler among defensive linemen last year. Technically your first leading tackler among true defensive linemen with 46 tackles, a sack and a half, while Joe Golden, James Rawls, and Isaac Hodgins have all run out of eligibility. They have graduated. So who comes back? Samisi Saluni will be coming back here to this team, as well as Takari Hickel and Jacob Schuster. But again, you needed to supplement with some of the talent you lost, so they dove on into the transfer portal. You got Tyge Hill, who is coming over from LSU. You have Tavita Pomeye, hopefully again saying that last name right, who comes over from Oregon, and a ton of other transfers coming in as well. DJ Wesolak comes over from Missouri. You have 2 FCS ranked transfers coming over as well. Maybe even some more that I don't quite have down here. So again, it's going to be up to see how these transfers mesh to see how good Oregon State's defensive line will be in 2024. Again, they got some good pieces in. We'll see how they mesh. Linebacker room, Easton Mascarenas Arnold. Big loss there. He had 106 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions last season. Leading tackler, really, really good player. He is off to find a new home through the transfer portal, as is John Miller. Pretty good linebacker in his own right as well. 11 tackles last year, more of a depth piece than anything, but still, again, a solid player in his own right. While Calvin Hart Jr., Corey Stover, and Andrew Chatfield, all guys that played big impact minutes. Hart and Stover, I believe, were both top 10 tacklers on this team. If not, then Stover was pretty darn close. Chatfield had 28 tackles, and he led the defense with 9.5 sacks last season, over 100 sack yardage last year for Andrew Chatfield. So those are some enormous losses in this linebacker room. But who does come back? Well, Melvin Jordan IV, along with Isaiah Chisholm, Uluwasai Omotosho. Probably butchered that name, so I apologize. But let me know if I pronounced it correctly in the comment section below. And Nico Taylor all come back, while Aiden Sullivan, Gyrese Goodman, and DJ Wesolak, they enter through the transfer portal. They, I believe, to my knowledge, are all okay. So here you go. I mentioned Wesolak's name earlier. He's kind of that edge rusher type player. Probably will end up playing more of a linebacker type role with this Oregon State team. But again, edge rusher just kind of had room for him in the linebacker slot. While again, Sullivan, Goodman, I believe, are both community college transfers. Although again, I do not have that listed quite here. Regardless, they all will be solid members of the Oregon State defense in 2024. Take a look through the secondary really quickly. Not as many losses as the defensive front seven, but you do lose a ton of other talent. Ryan Cooper is gone through the NFL. Really, really good player for the Oregon State Beavers during his time in college. And give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, sorry, the reason I was confused is because I had Ryan Cooper's nickname written down on my list. His nickname is Bump Cooper, but his first name is Ryan. So Ryan Bump Cooper, 37 tackles, 7 passes defended, and an interception last season, while Jamon McCoy will find a new home through the transfer portal. He had 7 passes defended, 2 interceptions with 31 tackles last season. Keaton Oladapo is going to be a really big loss to this defense. 7 passes defended, 2 picks, 73 tackles last season. Achille Arnold has also found a new home through the transfer portal. 62 tackles, 6 passes defended, and 2 interceptions. All big losses in this secondary. But you do get Jaden Robinson coming back. Had 8 passes defended last year, which led the team. No interceptions, but still led the team in pass defended. Andre Jordan comes back. Well, you do get some guys over from the portal, and Kobe Singleton and Mason White. Singleton coming over by way of Liberty, while White comes over from TCU. And then the safety room, Jack Kane, Noble Thomas, Tyrese Ivey, Skylar Thomas, and Josiah Johnson all come back. While I will butcher this name, I apologize. Cy Vadrawale will be coming over from Cal. And kickers are people too, so let's show them some love. Atticus Sappington has gone through the transfer portal, was the primary place kicker for the Beavers last season. He has joined the rival in the Oregon Ducks, while Josh Green comes back to do the punting duties, and Everett Hayes comes back to do the kicking duties. So let's talk about this defense in 2024. And again, like the offense, I just see it taking a step back. Now, that's not to say there isn't some solid talent here, because there are some pretty good players on this defense, especially in that secondary, that are coming over through the transfer portal. But you lost at least 2 or 3 notable players in every single position group. It's going to be hard for this Beaver defense to rebound here in 2024, at least to the level that it was at last season. Maybe that secondary, that pass defense number does get better. Maybe the rush defense stays around the same. But overall, talent-wise, again, I think this is a little bit of a step back for the Oregon State Beavers. You got to take a look at their football schedule. We'll give it a game-by-game preview and prediction as soon as my slide changes. There it goes. Any game at home will be underlined, while any game on the road is in italics or that slanted text. Any game in green is going to be a game that I think the Beavers will win quite handedly. Any game in yellow is going to be a close competitive fight, but I still think the Beavers come out with the win, and red is any loss. I think the season starts out with the win against the Idaho State Bengals, and then things get tough right away. You got to go on the road to play San Diego State, who we've always known as to be a tough-nosed Mountain West team. Well, things are going to change. Brady Hoke has retired. Sean Lewis is in now, a defensive mind for an offensive mind. Sean Lewis has got some great offensive game plans. There is still a lot of really good talent coming in through the transfer portal. I think the offense is going to see some really good things. I think the defense is going to see some really good things. And overall, San Diego State is going to be a very solid team out of the Mountain West Conference. And going on the road to play in Snapdragon Stadium is not easy. I think the Aztecs are going to beat the Oregon State Beavers. And I don't see the Beavers beating the Oregon Ducks either. They're going to be one of the top 4 or 5 teams in college football in 2024, loaded with talent. I could go through names forever on Dan Lanning's squad. Oregon State has no business beating the Oregon Ducks. I know it's a rivalry game. I know it's at home, Maybe Oregon State keeps this game close, but I do not think they will walk away with the win against the Oregon Ducks. I do think, however, they will walk away with the win against the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, I am on record saying I think Ryan Walters' squad is going to be better in 2024, and I do think that. But again, I think Oregon State has enough talent on this team to be sneaky competitive. Purdue is a team that I still feel like is going to have their rebuilding issues in 2024. And even though I do think Ryan Walters' group overall takes a step up in 2024, I don't know that it'll quite show on the record. I have Purdue struggling this year. And again, this one being at home is going to matter. Corvallis, sneaky tough place to play. I do like Oregon State to win that game. So they will move to 2-2 on the season before they get Colorado State and Nevada. Now, Colorado State, they come into this game during a bye week. They are going to be no slouch this year. Yes, they lost Clay Millen. Yes, they lost some other pieces through the portal, but there's a lot of talented pieces on this Colorado State squad, and it just feels like Jay Norvell's group is ready for that breakout season. Colorado State is going to be dangerous this season, but Oregon State having this game at home, you get an extra week of preparation while the Rams make it close. I think the Beavers walk away with that win. Nevada's going to be in another rebuilding year, and I see Oregon State being able to go on the road. Even though, again, it is a road game, I still think Oregon State's going to be able to go on the road and win this game. Nevada, I just don't think is going to really be that great of a football team this year. In fact, I don't really think they're going to be that good of a football team either. Again, still a rebuilding process for the Nevada Wolfpack, and the Oregon State Beavers win that game. Then you got a game against the UNLV Runnin' Rebels here, and watch out for this one as well, because UNLV made the Mountain West Championship game last season. They very well could do it again in 2024, but one key factor is missing here that I think could have given the Oregon State the Oregon State defense a lot of trouble this year, and that is Jaden Maeva. Now, they're still going to have solid quarterback play at UNLV in 2024, but I think without Maeva, things are going to be a little bit trickier when you try to figure out this game in particular. I like Oregon State in this matchup. I still like a lot of the defensive pieces they have, and I think they get a win against the Runnin' Rebels in Week 8. I know they're technically not the Runnin' Rebels in football. That's more of a basketball thing, but still. They get that win. So they're already sitting here at 5-2. Schedule gets harder from this point forward. Yes, you've had your tough games. San Diego State, Oregon, even Purdue, Colorado State, UNLV are going to be your tough games. But I think you're going to lose more than you win, especially in the second half here of this season. I think you lose to the Cal Golden Bears. Cal has joined the ranks of the ACC this year. They are going to be a really, really sneaky team. I love this Cal Golden Bears squad this year. Justin Wilcox coming back. They add a ton of talent through the transfer portal, as well as getting a lot of pieces coming back. Jaden Ott is coming back to play running back. You're going to have good quarterback play this year. A lot of great returning pieces on the defensive end for Cal. They're going to give some teams fits in the ACC. If you're a fan of an ACC team, watch out for Cal, and I think they get the Oregon State Beavers right here. That will be a win for Cal and thusly a loss for Oregon State. But you do get your second bye week right here before you play the San Jose State Spartans, and San Jose State kind of in a similar situation to Oregon State in the fact that that roster has lost a ton of pieces, and they also have lost their head coach. Quayle Conley and a ton of other talented transfers have left, with Brent Brennan, who is now going to take Jed Fish's job over with the Arizona Wildcats. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for San Jose State. They have a lot of pieces to be competitive, and I think even some solid transfers coming into that program. But overall, I do think Oregon State going to be the little bit better, more capable fighter in this team. Well, I was going to say better team, and well, yes, I do think Oregon State will be the better team. They'll be the more capable team. They will get the win against the San Jose State Spartans. So you have already clinched bowl eligibility, and winning one of these next three games, I think it's going to prove to be a little difficult, and I don't think you win against the Air Force Falcons. Now, yes, Armed Forces teams are really tricky to try to figure out, and Air Force loses a ton of seniors and some really good defensive players, including Bo Richter, who has gone, I believe, over to the Minnesota Vikings, although I could be misremembering that. Either way, he has gone to the league. They lose a ton of offensive pieces, but the theme with Air Force never changes. They're going to be a really, really good rush team. The triple option is going to be really difficult for this Oregon State defense to try to figure out. And this is an Air Force team that plays good defense themselves. That's a loss for the Oregon State Beavers, but I do think they beat the Washington State Cougars. Much like the Oregon State Beavers, they got lost in the realm of Pac-12 chaos, but they also lost a ton of pieces as well. Josh Kelly, leading wide receiver, is gone. Cam Ward, that leading quarterback, is gone. They lost a ton of production defensively, and I think Oregon State just got more coming back. And the most important thing here, I think they'll have better quarterback play. So you get your 7th win of the year, but that's where it stops. I think you lose to Boise State to fall to 7-5. Again, no conference record for Oregon State. Technically an FBS independent, even though they kind of have this partnership with the Mountain West Conference. You lose to Boise State to end off the year. Boise State's going to be a really talented team this year. I got 7-5. Again, very capable team, a team that I feel like has some good pieces, but overall it will be a downgrade from what they've had in previous years under Jonathan Smith. I want to know what you think about the Beavers in the comment section below, and next we'll move on to the Washington State Cougars. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.